Welcome to Parlay TV.
Plenty of things look easy at first. Skydiving, lion taming, from the comfort of your armchair, all sorts of risks look easy as
Cristiano Ronaldo, Diogo Jota, and Bruno Fernandes literally
blew Russia off the park in a clinical display of attacking football.
Wow.
Sorry, what did you say, Kobe?
Wow, bro.
Let's break it down.
I am Pat Mayo, and I'm here to give you the best pick at the top of the board, the best bet, if you will.
So I'm going to go with just under 25 for Middleton here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gambling on Hockey on the Parlay Network, Canada's sports betting network. I'm your host, Celine Trimarchi, alongside my co-host, Luca Rosano. Before we get into today's picks, let's bring it back a little bit. So there was quite a few games that went on since I last was here, which was Thursday. So let's see, percentage. I'm at 58% right now, Luca. The last couple games didn't do so well. I was at 61, as you all know. Now I kind of plummeted 3%. I think that's 3%. Yes, down. So Luca, what are you at?
I'm at 56%. So yeah, last time you were on the show was on Thursday. We had quite a bit of games. I think it was like 12. I didn't do well there, but Friday with Steven, who did fill in from North Star, I actually did pretty well. I went 4 of 6. So after all that, I am 56%, but you still are beating me, Celine. So that is my goal, to beat you on this show. And hopefully I can get to that before the season's done, which is pretty soon, the regular season at least.
Okay, yes. Well, there's still, like you said, there's still a few games left to go. So, I mean, the chances are there. You could totally beat me, or I could just completely dominate and be the best bet picks ever, you know? Okay, so let's get into tonight's game. So it's a quiet night. There's only 4 games going on tonight. So let's start off with the Edmonton Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche. So let's talk about a team that's at the top of the NHL leading board, and they're on a 3-game winning streak. So tonight's matchup between the Edmonton Oilers and Colorado, I would think it's more of a offense versus offense matchup tonight, and I'm sure you would say the same and everybody else. So if you were going to bet on tonight's game, who are you going to take? Because Colorado is the favorite here, but I mean, this game's very hard. It's very hard to pick. So who are you taking tonight, Luca?
I think expect a lot of goals either way. I like the over in this one, but in terms of the pick here on the puck line, I'm going with Edmonton. I'm going with Edmonton plus 1.5. I think a lot of goals will be scored. This is going to be a high-octane offensive game, and I do like the Oilers to keep it really close. I would not be surprised if they even win this game. You look at the Oilers, they're going through a dominant run so far. I mean, they've scored 5.4 goals, which is insane over the last 5 games. McDavid, Draisaitl, these guys are leading the way. And the Avalanche, they've been playing really well too. They've won 3 in a row. The Oilers have won 5 in a row. So something's got to give here. But I'm thinking this is going to be a close one. Edmonton will keep it close. Expect a lot of goals. It's going to be fun. But give me Edmonton plus 1.5 goals. I like that in my back pocket here.
Yeah, you know, I was going to pick Colorado because I'm like, they're probably the favorite here. They're going to win the game. But then when I actually looked at the stats and everything, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of iffy on that pick because I kind of want to stick with the Edmonton Oilers. But Colorado's so good as well. But I'm sticking with the Canadian-based team, the Edmonton Oilers tonight. I mean, their previous 6 matchups, they were 3-3. So it's a fairly even score. And you also have 10-plus goal scorers on Colorado, but you have a lot of good goal scorers on Edmonton as well. But I'm still going to take Edmonton. I mean, they've been averaging 5.5 goals over the last 5 games. Then they're riding their best 5-game win streak. So that being said, I'm going to take Edmonton on the spread, but I'm also going to take the over as well, and it's 6.5. I mean, they have solid players, even with their defense. I mean, there's Tyson Barrie, there's Cody Cecchi. Sorry, I'm Italian. I say it like how the Italians say it. And there's Darnell Nurse as well. Then the forward, Evander Kane. I mean, he's only played 23 games with the team, and he already has 20 points, 12 goals. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a really tight game tonight, but I'm still taking the Edmonton Oilers. Next game, the Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens. So from the best team to the absolute worst team, the Montreal Canadiens, they host the Boston Bruins tonight. This should be an easy pick. Luca, who are you going to take?
I hope it's an easy pick and it's not a bit of a trap game because the Canadians have been weird like that. It's like you think they're going to get dominated, but they've been keeping games close. I think it was a couple times last week. Yeah, they've been a very decent bet lately. But I'm going to go with Boston because they hold so much offensive depth and they have been moving the needle. And I mean, you look at what they've been doing. They've scored, they scored 4 goals on 45 shots going back to Friday in that impressive showing against Winnipeg, and that was without Patrice Bergeron. So that was a statement for the Bruins in that spot. They're 11-2-1 over their last 30 days of play. So this is a team that's hitting their stride at just the right time with the playoffs blooming. They're 5-0 in their last 5 games against the Canadiens. So this has been a one-sided series matchup. The Bruins are 8-2 in their last 10 road games, and the Canadiens have been horrible at home, just going 5-14 in their last 19 home games. So I'll lay the goal and a half here. I think Boston has its way with Montreal.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Boston Bruins on this one as well, and I'm also that confident that I'll take them on the money line at minus 235 as well. I mean, Boston's last 14 games, they're 11-2-1, and Boston won the last 2 meetings this season against Montreal with a combined score of 10-2. So I mean, I'm pretty confident that the Boston Bruins are going to take the win here tonight. And Montreal only has 2 players with 30-plus goal scorers, and they're both young guys. I mean, it's Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki. But then Boston, you got 6 players with 30-plus points. I mean, there's so many. It's such a more dominant team, Boston, compared to Montreal. I mean, you have McAvoy, Pasternak, Marchand, even Hall as well. He's been playing really well. And Cole, he has 7 points in his last 5 games. I mean, yes, Bergeron is out, but we've seen other players step up, like you were saying. So if you're going to pick on this game tonight, we're saying Boston. So take Boston on the puck line. The next game, the Nashville Predators look to continue their successful offensive powerhouse in Anaheim. So if you're taking this team, the favorite here is Nashville at minus 1.5. Who are you picking? You picking the Ducks on this one? Or are you sticking with the Preds?
No, I'm going with the favorite here, going with the big guns of Nashville. The Ducks have actually been a decent home team this season on home ice. But Nashville, they have a better road record than Anaheim does a home record. So there's going to be no concern regarding that in this one. The Predators, they're finding their form. They've won 9 of their last 13 meetings between these two. And I think tonight's going to be number 10. This has been a series that's been dominated by them. And I expect the Predators to extend Anaheim's losing streak to 7 games. This Ducks team is going the other way. They have not been playing well. I don't expect them to get a win in this spot, which is why Nashville is heavily favored here. Preds are 6-2 in their last 8 games. And yeah, they have just dominated the series. So it's hard to bet against them in this spot. I'm going with Nashville minus 1.5.
Yeah, and going off of that point, when you just said they're 6-2 in their last 8 games, they've also outscored their opponents 38-20. So I mean, compared to the Anaheim Ducks, who are descending on everything here, the Nashville Predators are ascending. I think I said that word correctly. I mean, I wasn't an English major, so we'll just let that one slide. But I'm going to take the Nashville Predators on this one as well. I mean, their game against Toronto as well, there were 6 Preds that posted multi-point points in their 6-2 win against Toronto. So they're on fire. And I mean, Matt Duchene as well, 17 points in his last 9 games, 9 goals, 8 assists. And Roman Josi, he's been having quite a freaking year. Let me just say that. I mean, he's literally on track to at least maybe just hitting 100. There's still quite a few points to go, but he's getting fairly close. And the last game that they just played, he joined Bobby Orr as the only defenseman in NHL history to tally at least 3 points over 4 consecutive games. So he's been having a huge year. And Anaheim, like you've been saying, they're 0-4-2. Their losing streak. And the last meeting, Nashville won 4-1. So if you're looking to bet on this game, you should just stick with the favorite and not take the underdog here and go with the Nashville Predators. And the last game, it's a heavy matchup between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild. And that's going to be taking place in Minnesota. But I feel like this could be an easy game too, but who really knows here? So Luca, who are you going to take?
Yeah, Vegas has been struggling. I can't overlook this spot here. I'm going to go with Minnesota minus 1.5. I think they have the edge offensively in this matchup, which is going to be huge. You look at a guy like Matt Zuccarello, has 1 point or more in 8 of the last 10 games. He's been killing it. And the Knights, they rank 14th in goals per game and 8th in shots per game. And they've struggled on the road. They're 0-5 in their last 5 road meetings. While Minnesota, they have looked really good at home this season, 19-7-1 on home ice. I'll take that stat to the bank. And yeah, I think the Wild will win this game. They will win it comfortably. And this is just too much offensive firepower for Vegas to keep up with. So I know I'm going a heavy favorite tonight, but rightfully so. I would say like three out of these 4 matchups are one-sided heavy. So yeah, I'm going to go with another favorite here with Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Minnesota as well on that one. Minnesota's healthy, like you were saying. Vegas is not healthy. I mean, when you look at the injuries, there's Pacioretty that's out, Stone, Smith. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 players that are injured. And Minnesota, there's no players that are injured. So I feel like this is going to be a total one-sided matchup. Minnesota's healthy, and they've won 4. They're 4-1-1 in their last 6 games, and they sit 3rd in the Central. And now they're going to start ramping up speed because the playoffs are literally closing in right behind. And Cam Talbot, he's been pretty unstoppable, and he's confirmed for tonight. He's won each of his past 5 starts, and he's only allowed just 3 goals total in his past 2 games. So if that doesn't say enough about our picks tonight, so we got Minnesota Wild, that we're taking the Nashville Predators, the Boston Bruins, and we're taking a favor with the Edmonton Oilers. Luca, you and me had the same picks all day today.
Yeah, it's crazy. I guess great minds think alike. Hopefully we both go 4-0, but yeah, it seems like it's an easier slate tonight. I hope I'm right, and hopefully this doesn't go the other way on us. But yeah, we're 4 for 4 with our picks.
No, I'm sure that we're going to be very dominant in tonight's game. So we got to think positive. And on a positive note, let's get into the NHL trade deadline. Just real quickly here, we're going to state our favorite trades. I'll start off and I'll say, I mean, Kyle Dubas stepped it up. I'm just going to put that out there. I mean, for all you Leaf fans, we've been begging for a D for quite some time. And now we got Mark Giordano. I'm not biased or anything, but I actually like this pick a lot. I mean, and they didn't have to give out a 1st round pick either. They just took 2 seconds and a 3rd round pick. That's what they ended up giving out. And Seattle, they're retaining 50% of his salary. So we still have money left over. That's huge. And they also got a solid 4th line player, Colin Blackwell, as well within that deal. So out of all the trades, that one was my favorite. I mean, but the Marc-Andre Fleury to Minnesota, that was up there as well, I will say. But since I'm from Toronto, I'm sticking with Mark Giordano, and I can't wait to see what else Dubas has up his sleeves. Fingers crossed. How about you, Luca? What's your favorite?
Well, right now the trade deadline is ongoing. So yeah, we're going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow once it officially ends at 3:00. So it actually is winding down here. We got a bit, exactly a half hour left. Yeah, I'm going to be a homer too. I'm doubling down. I had it written down. I had a feeling you were going to go with the Giordano pickup. I'm going with that as well. I thought that was a huge move for the Maple Leafs. Sunday, I was watching March Madness. I got the news drop. I'm like, wow, they actually pulled it off. Yeah, like you said, they're getting Giordano and Blackwell from the Kraken in exchange for 2 second-round picks, 2022 and 2023, a 3rd-round pick, 2024. And the big thing here, you already mentioned it, Celine, they're retaining 50% of his remaining contract, which is absolutely huge. You look at Giordano in 55 games with the Kraken, 6 goals, 17 assists, and 23 total points. While his offensive production has slowed down, he's going to benefit this team where they need him the most, and that's defensively. They need good defense, and this is a Leafs team that has struggled with goal prevention in recent weeks, and they're still without key defender Jake Muzzin due to injury. So this had to be a move the Leafs had to make. They needed to go out and get a defenseman. They do. It's a proven vet. It's a guy who's done it. It's a guy who's been in the league for a while, and he's going to be big for this team come playoff time. So I was very satisfied once I heard of this trade go down, and I think the Leafs got him at a reasonable price tag. So yeah, this is my favorite trade, and I really think this was a big win for the Leafs.
We're sticking with our home team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, in case you all are wondering. Well, I don't think you are wondering because we're both from Toronto and this is a Canadian-based podcast and we're both from here. Also, I just wanted to mention as well that the NHL trade deadline, just like you said, I'll just repeat it again. It's not over yet. There's still a half hour left. So, I mean, anything can happen. And also, if Kyle Dubas didn't make that trade, hot take on this, I feel like this could have been close to the end of his time here in Toronto. I mean, because we've all been waiting and waiting for him to do something, and now he has. So I feel like he's going to stick around a bit longer, at least I'll say. But thank you all for listening to the Gambling on Hockey on the Parlay Network, Canada's sports betting network. I am your host, Celine Trimarchi, alongside my co-host, Luca Rosano. NHL trade deadline, not finished yet. Keep watching. There's still stuff that can be going on. Who knows? But like Luca was saying, it has kind of slowed down, but still keep your eye out. And we'll catch you back here tomorrow and to talk if we were 4 out of 4 tonight, which I think we're going to be hopeful and we're going to stick 4 out of 4, or maybe the underdogs will come up, but we're hopeful.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to 3-Point Lines here on the Parlay. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, alongside my co-host, as always, Noor Zainab. We are back at it again on this lovely Monday to break down a slate of NBA games. We got a lot of incredible matchups on tap here as Noor and I are looking to up our winning percentages as we move on through this regular season with the playoffs just around the corner. Before we get into that, let's do a quick recap of our percentages. I am 55%, trying to get to that 56% mark, but it's very tough. Nor, how are you looking at this point?
54%, Luca. Had a tough Friday night, not gonna lie to you. That was a little bit hard, but the one thing that got both of us over the edge, I want to say, and it came against at the price of not being a homer. That was the Raptors and Lakers game where the Lakers actually took the win in Toronto against the Raptors. So that helped up my score overall, which I think if besides that, I could have really plummeted tonight, and I don't know if I would have been able to face you. So thanks, LeBron James, I guess.
I think you were low-key happy about that. I think we were both low-key happy about that on Friday because of the Russ thing. And we both said it on the show. We're like, if Russ has a good game and the Raptors don't win, we're not going to be entirely upset because of that clip that happened. And funny enough, Russ goes from Westbrook back to Westbrook as he hits that three to send into overtime. That was a crazy game. And I knew right when it went to overtime, like, the Raptors are going to lose this one. They had their chance. Obviously, Precious threw it away, or he threw it at Barnes. He got tripped by Westbrook. Crazy sequence, but that was must-see TV in that Friday night game.
We saw Scotty Barnes hit his career high 31 points, but on the other side, you saw LeBron James do LeBron James things with 36 points in Toronto. It definitely was not the roster that we're used to seeing with LeBron James alongside of him, but you mentioned it, honestly. When the second we all saw that video where the Toronto, apparently it was a local rapper who loves to get clout every now and then, and that was the same guy. Of course it's living up to our name, Toronto. Great job on that. But it was that dude. He tried to hassle Russell Westbrook, and that's what I was saying is the entire time. Russell Westbrook is the kind of guy who was yelling at families and kids and wives in the bubble. What makes you think you, as a grown man approaching him, is going to make him think, you know what, let's have the Raptors have the game tonight? Of course he was going to have the game tying or sending have the game sent to OT3. Of course that was going to be happening. That was written in the stars the second that guy stopped Russell Westbrook. And you mentioned it. I was not bitter about that loss. If anything, I think the only thing I'm worried about is that it might just hurt our chances moving forward when it comes to the play-in and the playoff contentions and who you're seeding with, because that might just be the game you look back on and you're like, damn, if we had just won that, we might not be playing the Brooklyn Nets in the first round.
Yeah. Very quickly, I want to get into the Sunday game as well. Overall, I did go 5-12 on Friday, so I definitely need to bounce back today. But before we get into today's picks, let's go to Sunday. Last night, Raptors Sixers. That was a great game. 8:30. Everybody was watching it, and it's funny because Philadelphia and their fans thought they're gonna have an easy time against the Raptors. No OG, no Van Vliet, significant favorites. Who was gonna stop Embiid? Who was gonna stop Harden? Who's going to stop Maxey? And the Raptors answered all those questions and then some as they put forth an impressive effort. Their 5 straight win on the road, beating a very capable Sixers team, a team that many people think are going to make a run. That was impressive as ever. What was your overall takeaway from that win against the Sixers?
It comes back to that, right? Like, had they won against the Lakers that night, this would have been their 7th win in a row. And that's such a huge way to look at this team if you look at them without OG, without Freddie. And honestly, I will say, like, I'm one that I have the worst takes, but the best thing about me is that I will own up to my takes. And my one take about the Raptors was, how are you going to fare against teams that have bigs like Embiid, like Jokic, like Giannis, like, those sorts of guys, because you don't really have someone that matches up with them as you did the years prior to when you had Gasol, you had Ibaka. But what they have done now with this roster is, I think that the idea of having a completely unguardable 1 through 5 roster that Masai had in mind is kind of working out. You're seeing Precious come through out of nowhere. Embiid was coming to this matchup thinking, okay, there's no Gasol, I can do whatever I want, but then he sees Precious check in at the line and he loses his mind. I think having Precious there, having our help defense to begin with, not just in Scotty and Pascal and OG, but these new guys that we've acquired and the culture that we have set, that this is a defensive minded team. If you're going to be on the roster, you need to know how to play defense. And we've seen that in Precious, who we've heard from Nick Nurse. He mentioned that Precious approached him and he said, Nick Nurse, if there's someone on the other side going hot, put me on him. I want to take the fire out on him. And a guy like that on your roster, that is going to stop Embiid. And that's exactly what happened that night. They expected Maxey, Embiid, and Harden to have a completely open lane. And those two combined for 38 points and had 11 of 32 shooting. That's disgusting for a duo like that.
Yeah, it was embarrassing for the Sixers. I mean, that was a game you should have never lost. You should have easily won that game. The duo that everybody's been touting looked very bad, looked very susceptible. Achua, you got to give him all the credit in the world. He has definitely stepped up defensively, and he's a guy that's not fearing anybody. He did a great job. Even Chris Boucher standing in tough as nails, taking a charge late at the end there. Yeah, Harden was limited. Embiid was limited. He did not look like himself, and a lot of people are looking at this Raptors team as a team that nobody wants to see in the first round of the playoffs, and rightfully so. They have a winning record against the top three teams in the East as of right now, head-to-head. You can see how they would fare against a team like Philadelphia. They would not be afraid in that series, especially you would assume Van Vliet's going to be healthy. OG will be back. So Philadelphia, the Raptors still own them. They're still in their heads from that Kawhi-esque series in the second round. And Philadelphia, they do not want to see the Raptors in the first round, like many other teams in the Eastern Conference. So it was a very sweet win to get against the bitter foes of Philadelphia, because there are a lot of people talking trash, a lot of people overlooking the Raptors, and the Raptors are just like, slow your roll. You still got to get through us. And that was just such a sound win. And to think they won that game, they were down by as many as 16 at one point. They come back. They really buckled down in that second half, especially in that fourth quarter, outscoring Philadelphia en route to the win. You cannot have asked for a better performance from this Nick Nurse-led group. So we will see how the Raptors look tonight, as they're going to be in action once again on the second night of a back-to-back. But before we get into that game, we will get to the team that Raptors fans will have their eyes on, and that is Cleveland, to see if they will lose. It's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching tonight. As it stands right now, Cleveland one full game up of the Raptors for sixth place in the Eastern Conference. They're going to be taking on LA, the Lakers, as Cleveland is expected to win tonight. They are a 5-point favorite. So is it going to happen? Are the Raptors fans going to get an early gift in this one, Nor? Is Cleveland going to lose, or will Cleveland further that lead in the East?
If I had any power in the world, Luca, I would do whatever it takes to make sure the Cavs lose tonight. But unfortunately, they are going up against the Lakers. And I don't know how the Lakers got that win over the Raptors, because they're a terrible road team. They're 1 of 9 in their last 10 road games. And while the Cavs have won 4 of their last 5 at home. And Lakers defense, on top of everything, has just been an issue. They're allowing, I think, 125.6 points in their last 5 games. And the Cavs actually have been going off offensively, getting 113 points in their last 4 straight games, which is higher than their average of 107 points. And they have been a little shaky without Jared Allen in the lineup, since he not only provides height, but a ton of defense and offense. But I feel confident in that they'll put this Lakers team to bed. LeBron and Wayne Ellington are both questionable right now, which makes their offense even more stagnant moving forward. And if that's the case, I like the Cavs. They got a very impressive big victory over the Nuggets a couple days ago, and I think they can do the same thing with the Lakers tonight, even if LeBron plays. It sucks to say, but I think Mobley comes out for this one. What about you?
Yeah, it's going to be a nice special night anytime LeBron returns to Cleveland. It's a spectacle. The fans are going to give him his respect. But Cleveland's going to prove, hey, we're glad we're into this era without LeBron. Like, we're just fine without you type thing. This Cleveland team's going to show up just fine in the spot. Like you mentioned, the Lakers suck on the road, 1-9 their last 10. And it's a shame that one comes against the Raptors. But this is a team that the Lakers, they just give up a ton of points. They've allowed an average of 125.6 points over their last 5 games overall. Meanwhile, the Cavs, they're in an offensive groove. That's not going to be a good recipe for the Lakers. The Cavs have been averaging at least 113 points in their last 4 straight games. So the Cavaliers, they have looked better lately. As you mentioned, that was an impressive win against the Nuggets. It's a shame, but they're finding their groove again, and it's not good for Raptors because the season is winding down. There's 11, 12 games left. So, yeah, I don't see the Cavaliers, squandering this opportunity at home when they are a favorite against a Lakers team that has not looked good. And right now, the Lakers are in 10th in the play-in. And it's not even a lock that they're going to make the play-in because the Spurs are only 2.5 games back. So they better figure it out quick, or else this could end up being LeBron's worst season ever. And that says a lot because he was a part of those very bad Cleveland teams back in the early days. So they are in big jeopardy right now. Does not look good for the Lakers. The Cavaliers will take advantage.
Let's see what happens with that one. All eyes will be on there, especially for the Raptors, as you mentioned, because we want to watch to see who's going to face Brooklyn in the first round. And God forbid it's us. I can't handle that. My heart can't handle that. Anyway, move on to the next game of the night. It's going to be the Pelicans taking on the Hornets, where the Hornets are favored by 6 points in this one. Are you laying it, Luca?
I am, and I hope I'm not wrong. I'm drinking this Charlotte Hornets Kool-Aid. We'll see if they prove me right or wrong. But I'm going to go with the Hornets here. They're coming into this game on a winning streak. They've been looking really good, averaging over 130 points during that current winning streak. And I think they're going to exploit a vulnerable Pelicans defense that concedes 46.5% from the field and 36% from beyond the arc. Rozier, Ball, Bridges, all those guys have been stepping up lately. Charlotte is 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games. They're getting hot at the right time. There's not a team I want to see in the play-in tournament. Let me just add that. While the Pelicans are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games as an underdog. I got to go with Charlotte here. They're playing with a ton of confidence right now. So 6 could be a bit of a big number in many people's eyes. Usually I'm reluctant when laying this type of number, but I will with the Hornets.
And you should. They just played 10 days ago, and in that game, Pelicans got beat 142-120. So the Hornets can come through and they can put up the big points. But for tonight, the Pelicans are not going to have BI in that lineup. And I think that kind of just says it all for you. You've seen how BI has been for that team. And with him in the roster, they had been racking up amazing wins, and that was going for, they were kind of crediting McCollum for that because it was coming up right around the time of the trade deadline, but it had pretty much been all Brandon Ingram, and without him they just cannot bounce back. And they did get good victories over the Spurs and Hawks, but I think on the other side, Hornets have just been their fire has been hotter, in my opinion. Like you mentioned, they've won their last 4 games, and that they happen with big wins over the Mavericks and the Hawks. And like I said, when these guys met 10 days ago, Hornets killed them 142-120. I can see the same thing happening tonight. You mentioned the guys. They have Ball, they have Bridges, they have Washington, Rozier, they have Oubre Jr. who can come through. And I think with all these guys on a roster right now, it's a young team, it's a talented team, and the way that they're playing right now tells you what their future is going to look like. And that's going to be a scary team in the East if you want to go through another team and have another fight that you don't want to have. But for this one, I think they should have a sound victory over the Pelicans, who just have not been like themselves recently. And watch LaMelo Ball to have a big game again tonight.
Yeah, it's crazy. Right now, the play-in features 4 teams that you wouldn't want to see. Arguably 4 of the hottest teams, at least 3 out of the 4 of the hottest teams right now in the East. And that's the Raptors, the Nets, the Hornets, and then you got the Hawks. It's crazy how much talent there is in the East and how deep the East is. Next game, let's go to Portland, Detroit. Detroit, 8-point favorites here. Rightfully so. I mean, Portland's they just stink right now.
Yeah, it's just Portland. And you know what? I'm gonna sound crazy for this one, Luca, because I know Detroit can take this and they should win this because of Portland's condition right now. But Blazers can sometimes very sneakily make it close. And Detroit is still a bottom feeder in the East. Like, I can't give them too much credit just yet. And I can see Pistons leading pretty much all game as well as winning here. But I think that there has to be some level of outlier in this one because Portland just lost to the Nets only by 5 points. And they did get blown out by the Knicks before that. But doing that against the Nets team, then going up against the Pistons team, I don't know. I think they can somehow maybe keep it within 8.
Wow.
If they can do that against the Nets, maybe they can do it again tonight. But on the other side, I can also see completely why you would lay the points, not just because the Pistons have been on fire, but because the Blazers are, they're for sure tanking. They're in completely tank mode. But I don't know. I think for some reason we can see some kind of fire tonight, and at the very least they won't lose by 8. And let's see if I'm crazy. What about you, Luca? I know you're going the other way.
Yeah, you know what? You do make some logical sense with Portland keeping it close against the Nets, but I'm just looking at this from an overall perspective, analytically, and yeah, it does. I don't see Portland keeping this game close. I mean, they've lost their last 5 outings by an average of 14.6 points. I think this spread is a little bit lenient and fair for Detroit because Detroit's been playing really well lately. They're 19 and 15 against the spread. And yeah, the Blazers are just so awful right now that I can see Detroit winning this game comfortably. If this was in Portland, maybe I would have, taken the points, but Detroit's at home. They're going up against a Portland team that does not match them in talent level right now. They got a ton of people out, so many different guys in the lineup. It's just been a wild season for them. Detroit, they want to finish the season strong. They want to get some momentum going into next season. And I credit Dwayne Casey for as much as they've not been consistent or where they're at right now in the standings, they're playing hard. They have been a really good team. They don't give up. They fight till the very end. So Detroit will play hard here, and it will result in a double-digit win.
Yeah, I think Kate is for sure making sure that that Rookie of the Year narrative is somehow still running, even if they're not in the play-in or in the competition at all in any way. But that could very well be the game I look back on and want to hate myself over. So let's see how that fares out for me. But on the other side, we have a pretty big game tonight. We saw Philly go up against the Raptors last night. They're going to turn that thing around and face the best team in the East tonight in the Miami Heat, who are favored here at -2.5. Who do you like in this one, Luca?
And this number is going to go up. I guarantee that because Embiid is out. It's just been announced. He has been ruled out. So Joel Embiid will not be playing in this one. Huge news. So this line, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I could see it maybe going up to like -4.5, -5.5, but I like Miami either way, even if Embiid was playing. I'm going Miami here. I'm sticking with that pick. Whatever the line is, I will lay it comfortably. This is a team that has been playing really well. They're 6-0-1 against the spread in their last 7 games as a road favorite, 10-2 against the spread in their last 12 games against a team with a winning percentage of above 600. And on the other side, Philadelphia without Embiid, second end of a back-to-back. They just got embarrassed by the Raptors. They're 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 home games. So home hasn't even been a sweet place for them. It's going to be another tough night for those Philadelphia fans to sit through. This is going to be a Miami win. Miami, they elevate their game when they play up against stiff competition. So, yeah, give me the Miami Heat minus whatever it ends up being. As of right now, we have it at -2.5.
Yeah, I actually had the Miami Heat even when I thought that Embiid was going to be playing. But funny enough, I did mention in my notes that I could see Doc River resting some players tonight because most of his roster, they are injury and rest prone. And you saw Embiid last year. He pretty much just started to play back-to-backs this year. So completely, I can understand that. And I can see with the playoffs approaching, you want to make sure that they're in the best shape moving forward. But yeah, in this matchup now, if not more than ever, Heat are just they're a better team on paper, on the court, however you want to put it. They're going to have way more of a defensive advantage now without Embiid in the lineup and having just Harden there. And I know that Butler is currently questionable for their team, but they're not going to need Butler for this one. They already have Hero, they have Robinson, Lowry, Bam, and defensively they have PJ Tucker, and he does whatever anybody else can't do. So I think this should be a pretty decent victory for them. I can even see at the very last minute Harden being rested for this one. And if that's the case, then it's just going to be a maxi show and for him to see what he can do against this Miami team. But as of right now, this is still the spread. Jump on it because if you want to make some easy money, do it right now.
Yeah, right now it's -4, so still very respectable.
Yeah.
Jump on this while it's still relatively low. All right, next game here. We got Utah-Brooklyn. Going to be another phenomenal matchup. West going up against the East in this one. No Kyrie, obviously, still. We're awaiting what's going to happen with that, but it is in Brooklyn, so that means Kyrie is not playing. And that is why Utah, I think, is a favorite here because of that, and they are a 1.5-point favorite. So who are you going with in the spot?
Yeah, it's going to be a huge night tonight in the NBA. And I think just moving forward now, because you're going to see all these teams ramp up and get ready for the playoffs and try to make a really final push towards their seeding and their contention levels. But in this one, you already mentioned it. It's in Brooklyn, so no Kyrie for this one. But it will be a fun matchup regardless. Anytime you have Utah and Kevin Durant going on the floor together, the spread being so low means that Vegas is predicting a very tight and close game. And the way that the Nets have been unable to cover the spread at home would suggest the same for this one. I think Utah did play last night in New York and they won. So while there might be some fatigue factor, there at least wasn't much movement happening, much travel happening. So they get to stay in the same area and just kind of go off of that momentum of last night. And while I do think it's a good spot for Utah, because if you're not having any movement and you just played an NBA competitive game last night and you won that, there should be a level of momentum moving forward in the next game, right? So I think in this way, Utah is in a good spot, but I still take the Nets to take it because they're running on the momentum of winning 5 of their last 6 games, and they're going to come into this wanting to win this. Durant has been on fire, and they surrounded him with three-point assassin and Seth Curry and Patty Mills, and it's just been the right call for them. And I think just because it is a money line spread right now, this could be something that you could see KD get a buzzer beater 3 win over. So give me the Nets. I think they need to finally make those pushes and put themselves in a good spot for the playoffs.
Yeah, I was going back and forth with this one. Originally, I was siding with Brooklyn, but I'm going to go with Utah. I'm going to go the other way.
Wow.
This is going to be a great game, and Durant's going to put up his numbers, especially with Bogdanovich. I don't think he's going to be playing tonight, but I look at a couple of guys in this matchup for the Jazz. Gobert, he's going to be a huge rim protector, huge impact in this game. He's going to make things so difficult around the basket so you won't have, your easy blow-bys and finishes around the rim. And also Royce O'Neal, look for him. I think he's a great wing defender, very underrated in that respect, and I think he will give Durant some trouble spurts. I think he will overall do a decent job on Kevin Durant, and this number is very big to take note of. The Nets are actually 0-10 against the spread when playing at home against a team that shoots 46% or better from the floor, and this Jazz team, they've proven to be very efficient. They've been playing much better lately. This is a team that some people are calling them a dark horse in the West, so yeah, this is going to be one of the best games of the night. It could go either way, but I just think not having Kyrie out there, it's going to catch up to Brooklyn in this spot going up against a very good Jazz team that does usually play well against good competition. So, yeah, I'm actually going to lay the 1.5 here. I think the Jazz will find a way to get it done in Brooklyn.
All right, I know what game I'm going to be keeping my eye on for that one, Luca. But on the other side, we've got the Boston Celtics taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Big spread. -15. It is OKC, but it's also Boston.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that one?
Yeah, you got a team that's been covering from an overall perspective, but then in OKC, but then you got a team in Boston that's been blowing teams out. They look really good right now. The duo of Tatum and Brown, they are just putting the NBA on notice. The Celtics look legitimate, and you know what? It's a big number. It's a big spread. It is the second night of a back-to-back. But OKC is also coming in on the second night of a back-to-back. I'm going to go with Boston here. I'm going to lay this big, massive spread. Boston's been fantastic in the second half of the season. Number 1 defense in the league. Good luck trying to score against them, OKC. And this offense is dead last in the NBA. SGA is still out. Josh Giddey's banged up. This is going to be a tough spot for OKC. I know they're at home. I know they have a lot of points to work with, but with the way Boston is playing right now, they smell blood in the water. They know these are games they have to win, take advantage of weaker competition, possibly even move on further up in the standings. Yeah, I'm going to lay this 15-point spread with Boston.
Honestly, I think if it were any other team, I'd be like, we are crazy. Who does that? But this is a huge spread for OKC. We know that, but it is a Boston team. And because of that reason, I'm not going to fall for it either. I think against most teams, you'll take OKC no matter how injured or dead last they are. But Boston has just been on a tear thanks to everyone now being healthy. And yeah, we know Jason and Jalen are amazing. You already mentioned it. But Marcus Smart has been the it factor for me on that team. Listen to the stat. Just hear me out. The Celtics have only lost twice in the last 50 days when Marcus Smart plays.
Wow.
Twice in the last 50 days. I'm telling you, I've been on the Marcus Smart train since the day one. I'm like, this is the guy. He's the Walmart version of Chris Paul and Kyle Lowry on your team. And he just does everything. He has 23 assists and 2 turnovers in 3 games. Like, he does everything on the court. You just don't see that convert into, obviously, the game highlights and the shots, the same way that we would cry about Kyle Lowry not making it. But that's Marcus Smart. That's what he does. He gets on the court. He wants no recognition, doesn't want any awards, nothing. It's all about the team and winning for him. And when you'll see every play he makes, everything that he's doing on the court is to make a winning play and to get his team the final possession and the shot. And with him in the lineup, there's not much other people can do. I've always said he's the X factor. And I think because of that, I can see them beating the spread tonight. They've been doing it this whole time. They have been having blowout wins, and he's a big factor for that. So give me the Boston Celtics tonight, as crazy and disgusting as that sounds.
No, listen, there's a lot going in Boston's favor right now. So, yeah, definitely ride this Boston train in terms of making money while you can. Next game, we got Toronto taking on Chicago. And surprisingly, the Bulls are the favorites here at home. Gary Trent Jr., though, has been ruled out. However, Fred VanVleet is playing.
So, okay, Freddie's in, but Gary Trent's out. I had no idea. But yeah, that doesn't really make much sense to me. I can see why they would be favored here by a bit, maybe like a money line spread, -1, -1.5, maybe even 2. But to make it a 2-possession game with how Bulls have been playing and the way the Raptors have been on fire doesn't make a lot of sense. And like other teams, the Raptors are on a back-to-back here, but they won that game last night. A very triumphant, good, decisive victory over this newest duo in the league in Harden and Embiid, and they completely held them to 38 points combined, 11 of 32 shooting, and that just tells you the Raptors are capable of so much. And even without Fred and OG in the lineup, they've had that next man up mentality in Scotty Barnes and Precious Achiuwa and even Kem Birch, even Chris Boucher has been making winning plays for the team this entire time that they've been gone. So I think even adding to that, Bulls have lost 6 of their last 8. And the problem with them is their defense. Their defense continues to be the issue. And even with Caruso back in the lineup, he hasn't been that messiah that they needed right away. And I think with that being a massive factor and the Raptors being such a great defensive team, they'll show them what it looks like to defend as well as go shot for shot with anybody. So I'm going to take the Raptors here, actually. And I think that they could, at least if not win, make this a 1-possession game. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's tremendous value getting the Raptors as a dog here, plus 3.5. I'm taking that one. I think Fred VanVleet being back is going to be huge for this team. Chicago had struggled lately. Their defense hasn't been playing well, like you mentioned. They haven't been a team that's been able to beat some of the better teams in the NBA. And I'm going to put the Raptors in that conversation because we know the Raptors have played like one of the better teams in the NBA, particularly on the road, a place where they've won 5 straight games. I think there's great value in the Raptors as a money line pick here too. I'm very surprised Chicago is the favorite. Maybe they know DeRozan goes off against his old team, but I think that narrative is starting to dwindle down a bit. Toronto, they are great defensively. They know how to neutralize your best players. So I expect another great defensive night for them. Second night of a back-to-back doesn't concern me too much because their effort has always been there on the road, it seems. This is a team that's going to, I think, get another statement win. So you're getting them as an underdog. You take that. So give me the Raptors plus 3.5. And yeah, I would put them on the money line as well. I'm not confident with the Raps right now.
You heard it with our betting expert here. Get them on the money line. Get the most bucks out of that pick as you can because the Raptors know that this is the time to get those wins and to make sure that we do not play the Nets in the first round. Now, another matchup tonight, probably going straight to DVR, perhaps. But actually, you know what? Washington's trying to make a run at the play-in, so it could be competitive. We'll see how that goes. But it's going to be the Wizards taking on the Rockets, where the Wizards are favored by 5 points here. Luca, what's your pick?
Yeah, really, man, this is going to be a bad game to bet on for sure. If you don't have to bet on this game, I advise you don't because, yeah, it could go either way. I think in a game like this where you do have 2 basement-dwelling teams, you got to take the points. And I'm going to go with the home team with the Rockets. I'm going to take 5 points with them. And, yeah, look, the Rockets, they're actually 2-0 against the spread against teams in the bottom 10 of net rating. And the Wizards fit that criteria. Also, the Wizards have been horrible against the spread, 11-22-1, second worst in covering the spread on the road. They're 7-13 with O'Beal, 1-6 over their last 7 overall, and both these teams are 4-6 against the spread in their last 10. So yeah, the Rockets aren't that good either, but you're getting points. They're at home. I'm going with that. Give me Houston to keep this game close if they're not going to win it.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. I would Rockets can do it. We've seen them all season. They are a trash team. Obviously, they're a trash team, but every now and then, they kind of surprise you, or they'll come through with like a game tying or like a close game thing. So I can see that completely. But for me, it's gonna have to be Washington only because of desperation. I think the play-in hopes and dreams are coming closer, and they need to decide if they want to make it or not make it. And this is a prime time to go up against this Rockets team and win a matchup. They have a road trip coming up where they take on the Pistons and the Bucks, and if they want to keep those dreams alive, you got to win 2 of those 3. And that's why the Rockets have to be like a no-brainer. You got to win against the Rockets just to get your wins up. It just feels like the best way to get your wins up. And I think at that point, when desperation sneaks in, they know that this is the game that they have to overcome and add in their win column. So I'm going to go with Washington here, but I can see that it honestly could go either way. It's just 2 bad teams.
Yeah, exactly. 2 bad teams. Logic says take the points and hope for the best. All right, and our final game of the night, arguably the best game of the night, or one of the better games of the night for sure, we got Minnesota. They've been on a tear lately. They're moving up the standings. They look like a sleeper team pick in the West, taking on another team that I coined a dark horse many times on this show in Dallas. So, yeah, fun matchup here in Dallas. Dallas, the slight favorites. You going with the Hot Wolves, or are you going with the Luca Doncic-led Mavs?
What do you think, Luca? I'm gonna let you pick.
You're gonna go with your team, and I think I'm gonna go with my team in terms of like our Western Conference teams.
This is gonna be a Luca and Noor showdown. We need like a steel caged match graphic tomorrow. If anyone's listening, Alner and Bianca, we need that stat. But okay, with this matchup, I think this shows that in their history, it's pretty much been who has the home court advantage, because Mavericks have won their last 4 meetings in Dallas, and Minnesota hasn't won there since April 3rd, 2019. But Minnesota, as you mentioned, has been on fire. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games, where Dallas is 3-3 in the last 6 games, and they have been losing to the likes of Hornets. So I'm not really sure what's going on with the Mavericks there, but they still have Luca, they still have Dinwiddie, so they're always going to be a threat no matter what. But I'm actually going to go with the Wolves here. I think they have way more of a complete team right now, even though it is Luca and the Mavs. But I can see the Timberwolves and their size just pissing the Mavericks off. I think Dinwiddie and Luca would have a hard time getting around that. And I can see Timberwolves just coming through and winning this one, actually, as underdogs. So give me the Wolves. What about you?
Wow. Yeah, this is being pinned as Noor's favorite team in the West, taking on my favorite team in the West. Yeah, I'm going with the Mavs. I'm going the other way on this one. It's going to be a great game. Both these teams are going to make for very tough first-round matchups for whoever they play. But the Timberwolves, for as good as they've been, they're actually a mediocre road team. They're 18-18. That is the definition of mid on the road. And they've won 5 of their last, but they have won 5 of their last 6 away from their home arena. So it's like, are you going to go from the overall perspective or recency bias? I'm going to go based on an overall perspective here. And the Mavericks, they are 23-12 at home, so they are really good at home. And they have won 7 of their last 9 in their own arena. And here's the thing, too, with the Mavericks. They've lost 2 games in a row. They're in jeopardy of losing their 3rd straight game in a row. That hasn't happened since the beginning of December. I don't think they're going to get to that point here. I think the Mavericks will play to their competition. They understand the task at hand. They understand Minnesota's coming in with a ton of momentum. So expect Dallas's best with Luca, Dinwiddie, and company having big games. So yeah, give me Dallas -2 in this spot.
Damn, they needed you in the locker room tonight, actually. You should go and give that speech. But then again, that's the team that lost to the Hornets. So I don't know how that's going to fare. We'll see how tonight goes. You heard it. Luca and I have a fierce competition in tonight's matchup. We have a lot riding on this one when it comes to Minnesota and Dallas. So keep an eye on it. So will we. But this has been 3 Point Lines with myself, Noor Zainab, and my co-host, Luca Rosano. We do this every single day at 3 p.m. Go over every single game in the NBA with our favorite picks against the spread. And we'll be doing it again tomorrow. You know where to find us, all of our socials at The Parlay, as well as Parlay TV. And we will be here again at 3 p.m. See you then.